on to Kenya, and this is one of those stories that I have to keep coming back to myself because of how much it inspires me. Meet this woman by the name Terry Gobanga, who is a pastor. Several years ago, she was abducted on her wedding day, and guess what? She was raped by 3 different men in a moving car for 3 hours. And then they stabbed her several times before they finally dumped her by the roadside while the car was moving. When villagers discovered her, she was of course covered in blood, and since she was naked, no one really wanted to get near her except a little child. When police finally came, they couldn't find a pulse. Everybody believed that she was dead, so they packed her in the bag to take her to the mortuary. On the way to the mortuary, she coughed inside the bag. That was when they realized, wait a minute, she's still alive. So they turned back from going to the mortuary and they took her to the hospital. She was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Her story became major news in all of Kenya, that a bride was kidnapped and raped on her wedding day. So that publicity alone was traumatic for her, on top of everything that she's been through. And then guess what? Doctors came in and told her that when she was stabbed in the stomach, her womb ruptured. Therefore, she would never be able to have kids.
I was at that place in my mind asking God, do you care? Every time I had any male voice, I was told I was very violent. Not one person, 3, you know. I'm not saying one is better. Rape is rape at whatever level.
But you know, one wonderful thing is her fiancé did not leave her side the whole time, and he still wanted to marry her, although everything that had happened overwhelmed her. So it took a year after the incident before they finally got married, and miraculously, some of those who read about her story in the news decided to pay for her wedding. She got everything for free, everything paid for, including the honeymoon. I was so happy when I had this, you know, that, oh, finally her story is changing, until she talked about what happened 29 days after the wedding.
He went to the bedroom, took the jiko to the bedroom to make the room warm. Then he came to the kitchen where I was cooking. He switched off the gas, carried me on the kitchen counter and told me we need to talk. And he told me, you know, in case I would die, I would want you to go on with life. I stopped him right there.
Wow. I mean, that's interesting. I don't know how he knew that something was gonna happen that night. I guess some people just know.
And he was not happy that I stopped him. We've just come back from a honeymoon. We are praying and fasting the whole day. It's an exciting time. You don't talk about death. And the atmosphere had really changed. So we embraced. I remember we were in tears. We didn't understand what was happening. And we prayed.
Anyway, to cut a long story short, that night, they both inhaled carbon monoxide from the heating stove that he bought called Jiko, which he was trying to use to keep her warm. By the time that neighbors got to them, of course, both of them couldn't move for a long time. By the time the neighbors forced the door open and got them to the hospital, she made it, but unfortunately he did not.
I'm in tears, I'm in shock. I'm still waiting for someone to tell me that's a dream.
Have you seen his body?
They refused for me to see the body.
Don't forget, this was 29 days after her wedding. Of course, she was bitter for a long time.
And then at one point, my in-laws, not immediate, came and I'm being accused that I killed my husband. So wow. So I've had it before in the African, you know, community. It's very hard for a husband to just die, even if it was cancer. There's something the woman did.
And we can only imagine what she's been through.
People withdrew their children from me. They called me cursed. They couldn't understand why so many bad things are happening to this one. I actually sat down with my parents and I asked them, is this the point where you tell me the truth so that this thing stop happening? But I got my strength in God. I lived a day at a time.
To cut a long story short, a close friend of hers that stood by her during the whole tough time later asked for her hand in marriage, and of course she was hesitant.
And I said, you know, I'm not able to give birth to children, and I don't want you to stress me, being an African man. And so he tells me children are a gift from God, and if we have them, amen. If we don't get them, that means he will just have more time to love me.
Wow, only true love would say such a thing. So they went ahead and they got married. Of course, it didn't go well with some family members. Her father-in-law did not show up for her wedding, but she said that today they are now like best friends. They've been married now for 8 years. Yes, 8 years. And guess what? During the first year of her marriage, she got sick and they thought it was just fever until the doctors told her that she was pregnant.
My first reaction, what I did, I picked my phone and I SMS'd everyone on my phone book and I told them I'm pregnant. Some of them were asking me, who are you? And my reply was, I am pregnant. I was very excited.
Anyway, she went on to have another baby after that. So they have 2 children. And today she goes about encouraging people, inspiring people, motivating people that no matter what you have been through, your story can also become a testimony.
One thing I've always said, crawl if you have to, but just know destiny awaits. The 24 hours in a day just remains 24. So if you're going to cry for 5 years, those are wasted years. I encourage people, don't dwell on things, deal with them as they come.
Wow.
So do not put a full stop where God hasn't put one. Go right back, put a comma. You might be in chapter 1, it might not be so good. Chapter 2, chapter 3, not so good. Who knows about chapter 7?
Wow. So I decided to share this story just in case someone out there is going through a very difficult situation. And it could be anything. I mean, maybe you lost a loved one.